Sada, for coming on the show. This is Africana, the Hub. The Hub is for us to discuss and find ways that we can support the Black child. And so any idea is a good idea for the page or for the channel.
Thank you for having me. And finally, thank God today we've come up with something important to talk about. My name is Sadatu. I'm an African and Nigerian by descent. I'm proud of my accent. My kids keep correcting me, and when I say something, they say, "No, mommy, it's not like that." But I'm sorry, they came from me, so it's either they learn from me or they decide to learn from school. Whichever one is fine by me.
Yeah, definitely. There's multiculturalism and different cultures. How do we guide our children to find the right relationship?
This one is a tough one. Heart doesn't work that way. So you can only try to guide them, but you can't tell them exactly who or how they should go about in a relationship. For example, my 14-year-old, I've been wondering, how do I even ask him? Am I going to ask him if how do I even start? It feels embarrassing to me, but I keep praying that one day, okay, he will open up to me and talk to me and say, okay, I have this feeling, or this is how I feel. Is this normal? He's a teenager. You can't close your eyes to what they go through. This is puberty, and puberty has a lot of things going on in their body. Like, we've all been there before as parents. So we need to start understanding that being silent does not help. Being silent is not the solution. Here, what's the acceptable standard? My first son is only 14, so I would like to learn from you.
Well, I was reading from HuffPost. Yes, she offered really good ideas about how to go about this. She said, so when your children are growing older and relationship matters comes in, first of all, you need to model good relationship, how good relationship looks like. So they can learn from that and say, okay, so mommy loved this way. For instance, if you're a mother and you're going out with other men, different men, and your child is seeing that, the child will wake up and think that that's acceptable. But if you're a parent and you model really loving and kind and decent relationship before them, then they will grow up and think this is how relationship is supposed to be. They are learning a lot from us. And how we model it or how we display love and relationship is how they are going to grow up and display love and relationship too. Privacy is a big deal for these kids. They have internet in their hands. What are they doing inside their rooms? All right, so that's the big question. But hopefully, as we model good relationship for them to see, then they are learning that from us. What I have been doing is to point it out right away. Say, no, this is not the right way to do it. This is not what we believe in. Our belief is this way. So I've been doing that a lot. The HuffPost also suggested that we listen to our children and support their selection. You know, when it comes to times to date, I know some cultures will let the child bring their date home, introduce the date to their parents, and they will even drive the date, drive them to the movies or somewhere. Yeah, the parents will drive them to go on the date together. Do we do that? Is this something that we can implement into our way of upbringing? Or do we let them just hide and do their own things? It has its consequences too.
Yeah, when you talked about allowing them to make their own decisions and then to follow through, what I would like to add to that is that, yeah, it's better that your child likes someone and then you know who they are. Than for them to hide. Like you said, hiding if they're hiding, it doesn't mean it's not happening. So you'd rather be involved and then control the situation than they do their own thing and then you don't know what's happening. I have boys, people say you're lucky, but I don't believe so. Just as a teenage child or a girl child could get pregnant, the only problem is that she's tied to that baby probably for the rest of her life. But it doesn't take away the responsibility of the person who got her in that situation. So assuming my son gets someone pregnant, it's as much as a burden on me as it is on the girl and her parents who is having the baby. Like, everyone is responsible. Let's tell our kids, just as much as the girl is responsible to keep herself away, you are also responsible to keep yourself away.
Definitely.
So I think that's part of the teaching that we should inculcate in our kids. The onus is on us. We have to take the responsibility. We have to initiate that step towards educating them that this is going to be the consequence. You're going to bear the consequence of getting, if you're a boy, getting a girl pregnant. That consequence is going to be on you for the rest of your life. So don't think that there's an easy way out of it. And as a girl, you too, it's a heavier burden on you. We should try not always to talk about the negative part, but what would have been positive for them if they did not have to go through that. So sometimes going about the negative is worse than if you understand what I mean. When I talk about the positives, I'm not saying there's anything positive about having kids as a teenager. I'm talking about, okay, how positive will their life be? Instead of telling them how bad their life is going to be, tell them how good their life would be if they did not have to get pregnant or be a teenage parent. So that's some of the ways I think we can also get them to our level, and then try to get them to understand why we think some things are not acceptable.
So I like the point that you ended with by saying that, so we offer them a perspective that is positive than negative. So we give them the positive aspect of this is how life could be if you choose this route.
Yeah.
We are not imposing our perspective, but we are offering positive.
In a subtle way, we're trying to make them think about the consequence in a positive way rather than in a negative way. They feel life is such a burden. But when we talk about the do's, so let's talk about the do's in a positive light. Try to tone down on the do not aspect of things. Yep.
I like that. Is there anything you would like to add to this conversation?
You can keep going on and on, believe me, because there is so much to talk about when it comes to kids and how we want them to be and who we want them to associate with.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show today, Sarah, too. And I really appreciate your insight. You always have so much to give, you know. Thank you all for watching. Please tune in next time.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.